Who's been looking at my primary English resources? Well, not Goldilocks, but our panel of experts here on Resource Review. Today they'll be evaluating a software package for mind mapping.
What I'd like you to do, you're going to have a go now at brainstorming the story.
Sets of finger puppets for storytelling.
I'm going to come and eat you up.
And a series of teacher resource books. So take a seat and keep watching to find out what our panel think. Joining me to recommend today's resources, we have our subject expert, Barbara Conridge. Barbara is chair of NATE's Primary Committee. Joining Barbara today, we have Kate Ruttle. Kate is deputy head teacher and Senko at Great Heath Primary School in Suffolk. And we also have Jill Budgell. Jill is an independent educational publisher and writer. Welcome to you all. Thanks for coming.
Hi.
Barbara, let's begin with your first resource. It's To Connect from Too Simple. Tell us, what is this resource?
It's a mind mapping programme for primary school children, which allows them to plan writing, collect ideas, import pictures, text, illustrations to help them to do that. And the thing that makes that programme different from lots of the other things that I've seen is the fact that a whole class of children can use this on a network of computers in the classroom so that they can plan jointly as well as separately. I like it because it isn't content-based, because teachers can make of it what they will, and so can children. But it really helps children with their logical thinking. It helps them to develop things at the level of a sentence or at a whole text. It means that they can plan things logically and they can do it collaboratively. It's a very powerful planning tool for children to help them structure their thought.
Great. Well, thanks very much. We went along to Woodlands Junior School, Tunbridge in Kent, and joined Stephanie Apps as she took her Year 5 class on a mind mapping journey.
Concept map. Today I used the To Connect, which allows you to create mind mapping on the computer. What I'd like you to do, you're going to have a go now at brainstorming the story.
Well, we're doing a brainstorm about Theseus and the Minotaur because we're doing ancient Greeks in history.
The main feature is the mind mapping tool. You can layer it with text. It just allows the children to write their ideas, put them into words. Might be a story that they could put into paragraphs. I'm going to give it a title, and do you remember you can just click on each of the buttons to save you from retyping all of those words again. I think it is very well designed. It's great visually, and I think for some children who do learn more in a visual way, it would be a lot easier for them to remember or understand. Right, let's describe Theseus. What was he like?
He was very brave.
He was very brave. Anything else?
Mighty.
I think they've really enjoyed using it. It's different, it's fun, they've got more hands-on. You could use it in lots of different ways, I think. You could use it with younger children, planning and writing stories or a science write-up. It really could be used cross-curricular. I do think that it is value for money when you think of the uses.
Well, Barbara, the resource got a good review there from our teacher, but it's not a cheap resource. But the teacher seemed to think it was worthwhile.
It is, because you only saw on that short clip a fraction of what the programme can do. And it is a cross-curricular tool. It's an open-ended resource. It's not content-based. It means that you can use it across all year groups. You can use it in the computer room. Or you can use it on an individual computer or on a whiteboard. So it really is what the teacher makes of the programme that makes it worthwhile.
OK. Thank you. Let's see what our panel think. Jill, are you a fan of To Connect?
Yes, I am. Yes, I'm a big fan of a lot of the Too Simple materials. And I wanted to come back to one of the points that Barbara made about it being content-free. Because in a sense, that's both its strength and its weakness. Because I think if you're a confident teacher and you've used these types of materials before and you've got children who are used to using them, they pour in the content and it's absolutely fantastic. They can personalise it, they can put in their own images, audio, and suddenly it becomes their product.
How much support is there for teachers who are less confident?
It's very accessible, but on the other hand, if you really don't have very much experience, like anything, you need time to get used to it. But it really is very, very quick, and they usually offer tutorials on the disc to support you.
Okay, Kate, what are your thoughts?
Well, putting my special needs hats on, I think that any kind of mind mapping software is so important for special needs children. The teacher mentioned that visual learners learn better, but they don't only learn better if they are special needs children. They're likely to remember what they have seen on a mind map much, much better than if they've simply had people talking at them, because particularly special needs children, dyslexic children are my particular fans at the moment, and this kind of programme is ideal for dyslexic children. It helps them to sort out all their ideas and to remember what they've done, which is crucial.
Okay, great. Well, thank you all very much. Now let's move on to Barbara's second resource. And Barbara, we're going from the high-tech to the low-tech.
Absolutely.
Your second resource is this range of finger puppets. Now, why do you like them?
Oh, well, how could you not? I like them because from a language development point of view for young children, it helps them to retell stories. These are traditional tales, but you can make they are puppets. You can make them what you like.
Yeah, I've already mixed up two here.
Yeah, well, I have Jack and the Beanstalk, but I mean, you can play with them very easily.
And what do you actually get? What is the resource?
Well, you can buy individual packets, or you can buy whole sets of stories, and they are very useful for the teacher to use when they're telling stories themselves to engage children's attention or to develop characterisation. But they're so important for children to play, and playing in language development for young children is absolutely essential to give them the chance in a stress-free environment to practice the language they use. They're fun, aren't they?
They are fun. Well, we went along to see how teacher Debbie Pankhurst got on when she introduced the puppets to her Year 1 class at Cardwell Primary.
The text we're looking at this week is the Three Billy Goats Gruff. The Three Billy Goats Gruff. I began by just telling the story without the use of any puppets or any props. I then introduced the puppets to the class. Who have I got here? Molly. And we looked at each character and see if we could identify anything that belonged to each character. Once we'd done that, we retold the story, incorporating the puppets into the story. Who's that crossing over my bridge? Said the troll. And the children were encouraged to use the voices or any of the other characteristics retelling of the story. The children were then split into groups. Some used the characters and the puppets that we had used, and some used paper puppets to retell the story. When they had practiced the story, we then brought one group back onto the carpet and they reenacted and retold the story using the puppets.
Who's that crossing over my bridge? It's only me, the big Billy Goat Gruff.
What do we give our performers? A clap. Well done, guys. The only drawback I found when using the resource was the size of them. I thought this was only going to be a drawback for myself, but I also found that some of the children were finding them quite fiddly and quite difficult to use. Children responded to the puppets today very, very well. I could tell from some of the feedback they were giving me that they really enjoyed using them. It really helped their understanding of the text to be able to use the puppets. I think the complete set of puppets are very good because they cover a whole range of text that we will use during this key stage and across different parts of our curriculum. I think based on the cost of the product and the cost of the resource, it would be very, very worthwhile resource to have in the classroom. I think it's a fairly low cost that would be of immense benefit to the children.
Well, Barbara, I do like these little puppets. They're very well made and very reasonably priced. But the teacher said a little bit fiddly, really.
Well, they're designed for children's fingers. And I agree with her, in whole class teaching it is difficult for the children to see. But they're bright, they're attractive, and children can make stories their own, they can add additional characters in, they can do all kinds of things with them. And again, they're a low-tech, multi-purpose resource, really.
OK. Kate, are you a fan of the puppets?
I love them. I don't see how you couldn't. I work in a nurture group part of the week, and my nurture group is full of children who actually find interacting with the real world harder. And puppets like these are ideal for those children. They've got these lovely Velcro circles on the back, so you can stick them on a Velcro board, so children can then make their own choices. And one thing is, very shy children will often talk through puppets when they won't talk through their own voices.
But similarly, you might use them with a toddler. I mean, I think they're the sort of things that you could quite imagine being used at home as a parent purchase, and I think that's fantastic.
Or in preschools.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great, well thank you all very much. Now let's move on to Barbara's third choice of resource, and it's a teacher resource this time, a whole suite of books, Classworks Literacy. Can you explain the resource to us?
Right. These resources are planning resources and resources for teachers. They are really aimed at helping teachers to plan a literacy unit of work. It will help teachers to plan the kind of progression through a unit of work, where to start, where to finish, what to look for in terms of language points in children's writing or in text, so that they can teach them explicitly. So according to people's subject knowledge, they will either dip into it for an idea, or if you actually do not understand a particular genre in writing, say report writing, it will give you a step-by-step guide on how to teach it and what to look for in terms of analysis of writing and the text that you give children.
I think this is a very big resource. I mean, there's so much in here, it's so dense. This is sort of very, very broad. It's touching on science and other subjects.
It is, but it's what has always been the case with the literacy strategy. It's teaching children the specific language models that they need to use in particular subject areas. So that you're not teaching the science inside literacy. What you're actually doing is teaching the language skills that children need within science.
What do the panel think?
They've got some lovely ideas. I think, in a sense, there's nothing new here. There are many other resources which would do all the different bits that Barbara is talking about in different ways. I'm not sure I could give this to a teacher who wasn't confident about literacy and say, here you are, and they would become confident. I think that they would need, it might do a backup to remind them of things they've heard. But I just feel that it's sort of neither one thing nor the other.
Jill, what do you think?
There are hundreds of things like this available to teachers, and I think they were published in around 2003, and I think with the new framework on the horizon, there probably will need to be changes. So, you know, I think they're good for what they are, but I think there's probably better to come.
The thing about the new framework is that the actual fundamental things within literacy are not going to change.
No.
So people make of them what they like. I like the fact that they go across the whole school and that there are things in there that you can choose to work.
I like the fact that they've chosen to offer blocked units.
Yeah.
I do think that's an improvement. And they do talk about embedding ICT.
Absolutely.
But I found it hard to find the concrete examples of that.
Well, it sounds that there's a lot in this resource. Mixed response from the panel on our third one. But just to summarise, the three resources that we've looked at today are To Connect from Too Simple Software, the Finger Puppets set from TTS Group, and finally, the Classworks Literacy series published by Nelson Thorns Limited. For more information about all of the resources that we've discussed today, go to our website, it's teachers.tv/resource review, or you can email us, resourcereview@teachers.tv. So a big thank you to our panel, to Barbara, to Kate and to Jill. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Resource Review. Bye-bye.